Hey everyone! For this week's video, we're going to be making a homemade wood kiln. So the homemade wood kiln is going to be less expensive, thank you Turner. It's going to be less expensive than a standard wood kiln, something that you could buy. It's something that pretty much anybody can put together themselves with things that you can buy at your local big box retailer. And I have Dan Tilden over from Oregon. He's another wood turner all the way across the country to help me out with this project. And Dan has actually built one of these on his own. Dan, can you tell us, maybe give us some idea of why a woodworker would want to have a kiln?
Yeah, so when a woodworker mills up some green wood, it's full of water. And to be able to get that wood to a sustainable level to be able to work with, you need to dry that wood out properly. And this kiln dries it slowly. It takes some moisture out as it dries, and it gets it to a level to where you're able to work with it. Mm-hmm. Simple
Great.
And easy.
So an important part about drying wood is that you want to keep an equilibrium. If any one part of the wood starts drying out faster than another part of the wood, it can start to crack. So our whole objective here is to dry this wood slowly and evenly so that we don't have any cracking, and we just have beautiful pieces of quarter sawn white oak left when we're done. Let's get started.
Let's do it.
This is approximately 500 board feet of quarter sawn white oak that I brought down with me from New York. So we're going to do like a homemade kiln using some foam insulation, a heater and a dehumidifier, and I think we're going to put it right in here. So we're going to have to take this lumber out first, chop it down to the sizes that we need.
Okay.
Build the kiln in this area, get everything set up, and then when we bring the lumber back in, we're just going to be loading it back into the kiln right here.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah.
I have an ongoing production job here in Charleston that requires 8-quarter quarter sawn white oak. I've had a bit of difficulty sourcing the lumber for this work. Most mills cut this wood just a little too thin for this specific job. And I've also had issues with checking or cracking in the wood from where someone tried to dry the oak too quickly. So I found a mill in upstate New York that was able to cut this lumber to my specifications, just a little extra thick. And I picked it up when I was in that part of the country teaching back in 2017. When I bought it, this lumber was freshly cut and wet, so it needs to dry before I can use it in my work.
Nasty thing out of here.
He likes me.
Who stacked that?
We're cutting these pieces down to about 26 inches long, which is the length I'll be needing for my future project. If you think of a tree as being a bundle of straws carrying all the moisture and nutrients up from the soil, when we cut this lumber, we're shortening those straws and making it easier for the moisture to escape when this lumber sits in the kiln. After we get these pieces cut to length, we need to seal the ends. I use a wax that can be easily painted on called ANCHORSEAL. Without the wax, the ends of the boards would dry much faster than the middle, and that differentiation in moisture content would cause the wood to crack. To cure as much lumber as possible in the space I've got, we decided that the kiln will be 3 feet deep, 3.5 feet high, and 8 feet long. My bandsaw makes quick work of cutting down these foam sheets, but a sharp utility knife would work too. We're using foil tape to attach the foam pieces together and to seal the kiln. I join the back, bottom, top, and side pieces together to form half of the box, and we'll start loading from there, being careful to leave a little bit of space for airflow between each piece. We use stickers, which are pieces of scrap wood, between each layer of oak. Once we get our first batch of cut pieces loaded up, it's time to cut some more. As you might imagine, we build up quite the appetite with this kind of work. So as we're finishing up for the day, I'm starting the coals for dinner. And since it's Friday night, after dinner, we're headed to downtown Charleston to watch my friend Graham Whorley and catch the fireworks. As Dan mentioned earlier, when lumber is first harvested, it's full of water. In fact, there can be as much as 40 to 50% moisture content. Air drying is always nice if you have the space and time. Now, this wood has been sitting in the back of my studio for about a year and a half, so it's down to about 15%. We want to get it to 7 or 8%. In Charleston, because it's super humid, this wood will regain moisture when it comes out of the kiln, but as long as it has the memory of being at that lower moisture content, I don't have to worry about cracking if my finished product is shipped somewhere with a much drier climate like Colorado or Arizona. I use a pronged moisture meter to check the moisture content so I know what we're starting with. After we load up all the oak, we situate the fans, heater, dehumidifier, and thermometer. One fan is on the top left corner and the other is on the bottom right corner to create a circular air motion. The heater is set to low until we see what temperature this box gets up to. About 115 degrees is ideal. The dehumidifier is half in, half out of the box. Because your standard home dehumidifier is not meant to function in these kinds of temperatures, we've set it up to dehumidify the outside air and blow that dry air into the kiln. This meat probe will poke right through the top of the kiln, giving us a good reading in the middle of the space. We're also creating a little door so that we can access the heater and dehumidifier if needed. This kiln is not completely airtight. We need to allow some air to escape since the dehumidifier is pulling outside air in.
So I think we have a successful project here. We accomplished everything that we set out to, right?
Yep, we got the wood in the kiln, got it to the temperature that we want, and we'll check it in a couple weeks and make sure it's still the same.
Thank you so much for your help, Dan.
You're welcome. That was a lot of fun.
So now it's just a matter of check back in with us in 3 or so weeks and we'll let you know how it did. And if you guys would like to follow Dan and check out some of his work, we have links at the bottom of the video. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.